Napoleon started his rise to fame as a military general who won many victories in France's ongoing war with the rest of Europe. Remember, France was basically at war with most of Europe while it was going through its revolution. In 1795, when Napoleon was 26, he gained fame and the support of the government for crushing an uprising against the Directory. After that, he gained control of the French army, where he improved soldiers' conditions, which gained their loyalty. With these soldiers, Napoleon defeated the Austrians and gained control of northern Italy. At this point in time, Napoleon was still just a military leader. He was not a political leader, at least not until 1799, when he returned on a surprise visit back to France after fighting the British in Egypt. He was greeted by cheering crowds, and he helped lead a coup d'etat, which is a French word meaning a quick seizure of power using the military. In this coup d'etat, Napoleon and others took control of France from the Directory. As the ruler of France, Napoleon made many changes. Many of these changes are interpreted as good things. Some of these changes he made are seen as bad things. But he did help create stability in France after many years of turmoil during the Revolution. He set up a dictatorship, a government headed by an absolute ruler. He replaced elected officials with men that he chose and trusted himself. Additionally, he placed education under the control of the national government. He made technical schools, universities, and high schools designed to produce well-educated and patriotic government workers. In doing this, Napoleon took a major step towards the public school system that was open to all children. He also created the Bank of France, which required all citizens to pay taxes. All the tax money that the citizens paid was given to the National Bank, the Bank of France, and it was used then to give loans out to businesses. And in doing this, Napoleon helped stabilize the French economy. He controlled inflation, or rapidly rising prices. Napoleon made members of the church pledge allegiance to the French government. He erased old and feudal laws. It was a very confusing system of laws that France had, and he replaced them with something called the Napoleonic Code. And the Napoleonic Code was a clear and consistent system of written laws that were based on Enlightenment ideas. So they reflected things like equality and religious toleration. However, sometimes the Napoleonic Code gave the government the power to restrict freedom of speech and freedom of the press in order to protect the stability of the government. Additionally, women lost the rights that they had gained during the French Revolution, as the Napoleonic Code gave full authority over France back to men. Under the guidance of Napoleon, France became more than a country. France expanded its borders to become an empire. Napoleon named himself emperor in 1804 and clearly made it known that he wanted to take over Europe. Napoleon's main enemy was the British, and he tried to weaken the British by ordering all French-controlled lands to stop trading with Britain. He wanted to hurt them economically. He forbade the French from buying British goods. By 1812, Napoleon controlled most of Europe. France's boundaries had extended to Russia, and Napoleon had conquered or even controlled Italy, the German states, Netherlands, Italy, and Poland. He was allied with Spain, Denmark, and Austria. Most of Europe, one way or another, was paying taxes to Napoleon. Russia began trading with Great Britain again, and this was how the downfall of Napoleon started. Russia decided to break Napoleon's rule forbidding trade with Great Britain because that policy was hurting the Russian economy. In response to this, Napoleon assembled a massive army, over 500,000 men, 600,000 soldiers, and he started to invade Russia. French forces began marching towards Moscow, an important Russian city, in May of 1812. Now, the Russians were stubborn. They refused to give in to Napoleon, and they used what's called a scorched earth policy as they retreated. So they went further and further back into Russia. They were retreating from Napoleon's advancing soldiers. But as the Russians retreated, they burned everything left behind them. They did this so that the French who were chasing after them wouldn't be able to salvage any food or even get any shelter. And that's really important because in Russia the weather is very, very cold, and the harsh Russian winter eventually forced the French to retreat. Before the French decided to leave Russia, they lost over 2/3 of their men, over 400,000 soldiers, who died from injuries, starvation, and exposure to the cold weather. After his invasion of Russia and all of the destruction that he caused for that country, European monarchs united together against Napoleon. They sent armies to free themselves of his conquest. Napoleon surrendered in March of 1814, giving up his throne as emperor. The monarchy was restored in France, and Napoleon was exiled, or banished, to Elba, an island off the coast of Italy, where he was supposed to remain until death. However, Napoleon escaped Elba and returned to France on March 1st of 1815 to rule for what's known as Napoleon's 100 days. As he landed, he began marching towards Paris, seeking to seize control of the country again. He gained support from the people and was able to rule for 100 days before the European countries, still fearful of Napoleon, attacked him again. Napoleon was defeated by these European countries in a famous battle at Waterloo, a place in the Netherlands, in June of 1815. He was exiled again, but this time he was sent to an island in the South Atlantic, where he died in 1821.